Hey, how's it going, YouTube? So, whenever we left off, we were still working on the hood of this Chevy pickup, so we're going to continue from there. The first thing I want to do is go ahead and start working on this and making this more uniform. And by doing so, I'm just going to simply select the vertices back here and then move these forward, something kind of like that. And the one thing I think is kind of important to note, basically, whenever I'm doing this, I try and make everything match up as much as possible. And when I say that kind of loosely. So we actually start curving this out right about here. I'm going to take these vertices, if I can select them. Probably those right there, doesn't really matter. I could go ahead and select that one too. I have a few ways of doing this. I think one thing that would probably make this a little bit easier if I took my multi-cut tool and just go from here to here. Come on. There we go. And, yeah. So I'm going to take this, I'm just going to move this in. So probably kind of like that. This way it just kind of flattens that out a little bit. It makes everything a little bit more uniform. And makes it easier to work with. Now, this tutorial is only going to last probably about 30 minutes or so. I'm not going to spend too much time on the hood because I've got to wake my wife up soon. So anyways, I'm going to select these vertices. I'm just going to move these in just a little bit. And we'll start working with this piece a little bit more here in a little bit. Right now I'm just kind of more worried about making everything look a little bit better. Okay. I'm not really counting how many of those I'm adding in there. I'm just kind of like throwing them in like, here you go. So, I think I'm going to just select all these vertices. I actually want these to match up about there. And I'm just going to start working my way down. Something kind of like that. I think that'll look alright. Oh, come on. There we go. So then the next thing I want to do, after I've done that, is I'm actually going to take this whole edge. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so I'm going to move this one up. And the whole reason for me trying to keep all this even, I know it's not completely even, but I'll work more with that probably a little later on. But the more even this is, the easier this is going to be whenever we smooth it, and it's just going to look so much better. Let's see, move it one more pixel. I'm going to do the same thing down here, something kind of like that. I'm just going to go in here, I'm going to select this whole edge. Ooh, too much. I'm just going to press G on the keyboard. Well, no, I don't want to press G. I want to make sure that my extrusion is selected. Move this one right about here. Now I'm going to press G on the keyboard. I'm going to move this one up about here. And I'm going to move this one up probably right about there or so, or thereabouts. I'm going to move it in right about here. And I'm just going to scale this in. There we go. So I know that this doesn't match up. Not a big deal. I'm just going to move this forward. Something kind of like that. And we're going to do this with all of these vertices. We're just going to see if we can try and make this match up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so that doesn't look too terribly bad. One thing that I'll do, and everybody's different on how they do this. I've seen some people just use a cut face tool and do it. I'm probably not. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a line right here. I'm going to make one more. I'm going to keep this one kind of tight, and I'm going to select these faces specifically, kind of like that. I'm going to grab these. I thought I had those selected. So I'm grabbing all of these. I'm leaving these alone. And if you notice, I didn't grab the front either. I actually kind of did that purposely. I'm just going to bring this up just a little bit. So now when we smooth it, we're going to have that little hood look. I'm trying to think what it's called. Almost like the cowl induction look. I actually want to move these down just a little bit. I'm going to select the edges from here to here. I'm just going to pull these down, something kind of like that. So now when I smooth, this looks a little more uniform. Let's see. So, yeah, that's basically all there is to that. And then if you want, you can go ahead and select the object. We can go ahead and hit Control-Shift D, and we'll go ahead and combine these. We're going to Edge. We're going to Edge. There we go. I'm going to select these right here, and I'm just going to bridge them across. And if you want, you can go ahead and delete those because we no longer need them. And then when you press 3, this is kind of the shape that you're going to see. To give it a nice square shape like you'd expect an older pickup to have, you just simply create an edge next to it. And this way, whenever you go in here and smooth it out, as you can see now we have that hood shape that we'd really expect to see. I'm actually not ready to do that. There we go. And the reason why, because I still need to work with this a little bit more and get that more uniform. And the other thing I need to do is grab all of these edges right here, and I need to pull these down. Something kind of like that. There we go. One thing I think is worth noting, so like I deleted this face earlier. I'm just going to go ahead and fill that hole in real quickly. I'm going to go to Mesh, Fill Hole. And if you're making a car game, let's say you want the hood to be able to open, you can see the engine, or maybe you're going to want to have parts fly out. You don't want to have any open holes like that, because otherwise you're going to see right through it whenever parts start going flying off the vehicle. So that's something that's worth noting. If your game does not have it where you can open the hood or anything like that, then it's safer to go ahead and delete all these faces that you'll never see, because then they'll just lower the resolution and basically just make everything more optimized. So now that we've gotten the hood kind of done, let's go ahead and duplicate this. Oops, Control G, and then Control Shift D. We'll go ahead and duplicate this object as well, and we'll go ahead and combine it. I'm going to go ahead and bridge this across. And with those two edges selected, I'm just going to go ahead and delete them. I don't really need them. I don't write them. Okay, so then I'm just going to move this forward just a little bit. There we go. So one thing that I do not like how this just goes meh. And I'm thinking is I'm going to go ahead and delete this edge right here. I know that whenever we smooth it out, we're going to have this weird look, but that's okay. I'm going to select this edge. I'm just going to pull this up where this is a little bit more uniform. Something kind of like that. So this way, whenever I smooth the object, it'll match up just a little bit better. And I'll go in and work with this a little bit more later on in the top view, just trying to make all these curves nice and smooth, which actually they don't look too terribly bad, honestly. Let's just go ahead and bring this down just a little bit, something kind of like that. There we go. Good enough for government work. Okay, so anyways, next thing we need to do is we actually need to pull the hood down. Let me go into my front view. We need to turn this image on, because now we're going to need it. And let me go and turn on transparency. So it looks like with this, the fender and the hood, not only do they match up, but they also flatten out where you have the grille and the bezel around the headlights and everything. I think that's called the bezel. You'd think I'd know this because I'm an automotive technician, but I don't. So anyways, this part right here will actually have to come down, and we'll model that in from there. A real simple way of doing this, I'm going to hide the front image. A real simple way of doing this is what we can do is on this section right here, we can extrude this down, but we can't do that here because of these edges and everything. So one thing we can do is if we come in here, if I can zoom in on it properly, yeah, see we have holes right here. Okay, that's all. So we'll fill that hole right there, and we're going to do the same thing over here if I can manipulate the camera. G. Now we have a where an edge meets. All we're going to do is just try and get in here. We're going to close it on this vertex, so this way we don't have more than 5 sides per face, like we do in this monstrous. Oh no, that's still okay. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing over here because I know we're going to have it. Something kind of like that. Whatever. So, let's see, what was I saying? Oh, yes. We can't just, extrude this down. So one thing we can do is we'll go back into this tool right here. And we need to do that first. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Is we'll just select this vertex and we'll cut it down there. And so now is what we get is we get these two faces right here. And we can go ahead and delete these. And this will make sense here in just a second. So what we can do now is we can take this edge and then we can go ahead and extrude this down. Just going to extrude it like so, and then we're going to go into the side view. There we go. We'll go into the side view, and we need to see where this edge is. It's right there, so that actually should be more flat. It should actually be more like this. Something kind of like that. Because front of these are actually fairly flat. They still have a slight curve, something kind of like this. And we'll have to go in here and modify this as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Why do I keep selecting the front view or the rear view or whatever you want to call it view? I don't know. Maybe I'm high. Just going to move that out like that. So that I can take these. I'm just going to move them back just a little bit. Not too much. Okay, so now that we have done that, is what we need to do is we need to click on our Append to Polygon tool, and we're going to close this off. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. There we go. And then after that, we're going to do the same thing in here. This one's going to be a little different. So what we want to do is probably something kind of like this. Let's see, so we need to go around like this. So we'll do something kind of like that. And you can always tweak this a little bit more. So like we have this weird shape right here. Is what's going on is this polygon is actually just distorted. So let's go ahead and cut this face real quick. Kind of like that. Now we have something that doesn't look so tacky. And we can always tweak that too. So, yeah. There we go. Come in here, do that, G, and we'll just follow this around, go into the cut tool. Help if I select the right vertices. I'm like, you have no idea how much that would help. There we go. Okay, so now that we have done that, we have extruded this down. I'm going to say mediocrely successfully. And what we want to do is we want to do the same thing with this. So we can always just select these faces, like so, all the way across. And then we can just kind of like pull them down. The only thing that's worth noting is now, this doesn't match up. So an easy way to fix that is simple extrusion. And when you do this, I'd recommend on taking your edges back here and just kind of pulling them up. Something kind of like that. And then pulling these down. I'm going to move that in just a little bit more. I'll pull them down. Okay, there we go. And then go back into face. We want these faces to be flat. And I do mean flat. So we got something kind of like that, and that's, you know, nothing real tedious about that. So then the next thing we'll do is we'll go into our top view. And right here, we have these vertices. I'm just going to move them up like so. Let me select the hood, move that forward. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And I could just select both sides at the same time. I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't. And so then we'll take these, we're going to move these up just a little bit, not too much. There we go. So now you have this nice hood shape that, you know, it's whatever. Kind of matches up. No biggie. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is, let's go ahead and make the bezel. I don't know why I keep going into the wrong views. Maybe I just need to switch them. But then I keep having this fear that if I switch them, then, you know, I'm going to, like, be all naughty and keep clicking on the wrong one still. So, I don't know. All I'm doing right here is I'm just creating a polycube and just trying to match the shape up. That's it. Once again, nothing real super tedious. Looks like the hood actually kind of comes down a little too much. There I go again. So, yeah, life is great. Okay, so right here, here's what's going on. The hood comes way out. You'd think I would have noticed this, and I would have caught it, but I didn't. We actually need to make this more flat. Something kind of like that. I probably grabbed a little too many vertices, but, you know, it's whatever. It's just a simple tutorial anyway, so still going to look great once we're done. So, there we go. This is actually going to be the headlight, if you're wondering. So, this right here, the hood actually comes down too much in this image. We can always move this image down. Probably wouldn't hurt to do so, because we're actually working with different views. So let me go ahead and just take the front image. Oops, I do not want to do that. I'm going to select both of them. I'm just going to move them down. Probably something kind of like that. Turn off transparency and go back over here. Oh, nope, I need it on. Let me see. Okay, so something about like that is where we want them. And then I can click back on my cube object and just move this down. So if I had this right, and I still don't. Oh, why is my move tool all the way back there? That is awesome. I'm going to just move that in the middle. I actually want this to be right about here. Something kind of like... So I still want a little bit of a gap in here. Not much, but a little bit of a gap. And so what this will allow is... whenever we go in here and actually start working on this, it will just look a little bit better. It won't look all distorted and everything. Let me go into my side view. See, there I go again. And actually, this is on the wrong side. I'm actually kind of afraid of that. Screw it. We'll deal with it. No biggie. Alright, so let me go and take my front image. Oops. And then I'm just going to move them down just a little bit more. Something kind of like that, so this way everything matches. Because this is really what I'm working off of, is this hood and this fender. So as long as I can move this image right here, the front view image, and make it all match, we should be good. And that's all I'm really trying to do. So let me go back in here to the front view. Is what I'm going to do now. Is I'm going to click on this headlight shape. I'm going to go into face. And I'm going to do an extrusion. But when I do this, I'm just going to flatten it out, kind of like that, and I'm going to go down. And so now I'm creating a whole new face in it. Something kind of like this, I'm thinking. All I'm trying to do is just match the edge of this light shape. That's really it. I'll move this up. Probably something kind of like that. I need to move these in just a little bit more. Alright, so with this, we're going to use this tool right here, which is the edge loop tool. Why is my mouse over there? This is the edge loop tool. I've used this plenty of times. I'm actually going to bring an edge loop down here, and right here, and down right there. And so now by doing this, when we press 3, we can see that. Well, no, we can't see that. But by doing this, is what we'll do is then is kind of like manipulate these out just a little bit. And if you really want this shape, is what you can do is you can, I'm trying to think how to explain this. You press 1 on the keyboard, I'll just do it this way. So I'm going to take these 4 vertices right here, I'm going to move them in, I'm going to move them down. So now by doing this, we actually have a smoother light shape. And when I go into face, whoa, what just happened? I'll select these 4 right here. I'm actually selecting the back. That's actually funny. Okay, it's not a big deal. It's really not. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to I'm going to push these in just a little bit, not too much. Then I'm going to click on extrude. I'm going to pull these in. Something kind of like that, I'm thinking. And then I'm going to push extrude again. I'm going to do a small little line in here. I'm going to press G on the keyboard, do one more, and I'm going to press G on the keyboard, and now I'm going to come up to about here or so. I'm going to press G, move it up just a little bit, press G, I'm going to scale it in. So now when we press 3, we have this headlight shape. And that's how I do that. To make it face the right direction, all we're going to do is right here on the scale and the Z, we're going to come in here and we're going to enter a negative value. So now it flips it around. And that is what we'd expect to see. So now we have this nice little headlight shape. But now we also need to start working on the side. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Okay. And this is actually a good opportunity before we start getting too crazy with this. Let's go ahead and extrude this down. I'm going to extrude right about there. I'm going to press G on the keyboard, and this time I'm just going to go straight down. Something kind of like that, around there somewhere. Because I actually want this whole piece to be chrome. If we go back in here into this image, let's see, the front headlight. You know, this actually comes all the way down to the body. Now, I could make it stop and make it even, but, you know, hey, dude, I'm trying to do something different here. Respect me on that, man. Alright, so right here is what we want to do. So we're going to go ahead and do the edge loop again. And I'm just going to move it into, you know, somewhere about there or so. And let's go back up here to this image. So yeah, this does not curve around at all. You can actually see where it comes in a little bit, actually. So it does have a slight curve to it, but not much. So the way I'm probably going to end up doing this is I'm actually going to go in here to face, and I'm going to select these faces right here. Okay, what extra face size select? Right there. Now, I could just pull this out, and actually I think I am. I'm just going to pull that out right there, and I'm just going to pull this out. And then right here, I actually need to select these edges right here and pull these up, because the marker light is about the same, it's about the same height. Press Q on the keyboard, press W, move these down. So I want that one right about there, I think. Yeah, probably right about there. Okay. So then is what I will do is I'm actually going to select all the way down here. I'm going to move this forward right, probably right about here or so. It's not an exact science, just, you know, got to be kind of close. It's got to be like dead even, man. No, it doesn't. Okay, so just like this one right here, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to extrude, and then we're going to move in just a little bit this time. And then we'll move this in, and then we're going to extrude one more time. And we don't have to go down too much. It's mainly just moving them in. I'm going to move that in right about there. And that's pretty much it for this, because we're actually going to add a cover over this. So that's not going to be a real big deal. If you want, you can actually take these edges and you can move them in just a little bit. And this one actually needs to be brought down, needs to be scaled in, you know, something kind of like that. And this one can be moved in just a little bit. And to add a little bit better curvature to this, we can actually add another edge loop right about here. And let me just select all of that. I'm going to move, before I do that, let me go ahead and just go into vertex. I actually want to take these and move these out a little bit more. And then right here on edge, we'll move this out something kind of like that. Okay, there we go. So this way when we look at the front, we'll have this, we'll have this protrusion sticking out. Now, because we move these in, we're also going to have to move this in. Not a big deal. And then we'll do the same thing with this edge. We'll move that in. And we'll go into verticing, or vertex, whatever you want to call it. We're going to do the same thing with these little guys. I'm just going to move them in like so. So if we hit 3 on the keyboard, let's see. Let's go ahead and make a slightly sharper shape. So I'm going to move that in right about here. Move this one back right about here. And now we have our side marker shape. And you could always come in here, you can add more, but the only problem with doing this is, yeah, you have this nice bottom piece, but now you're also going to have more definition with this light. So that's why I'm not doing that right there. One way around that, however, is we could always come here and take our tool, our thing. I'm actually going to make an incision right here. I'm just going to follow this all the way across. Oh, you bastard. And well, screw it. That should work. And then I'll close it off right there. So now when I press 3, we have that nice shape that we're looking for. Now I think I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing up here. I'm just going to click right up here. I'm going to click on this line right here. And then, let's see, I got that outside one selected. So I need to come across here. And then I'll click it back right there. So when we press 3, there we go. And then, I think in the next lesson, let me go ahead and move this. Well, no, I can't move this one over, because if I do, then that's going to move that, so that would be a bad idea. I definitely want more of this, a little bit more rounded, because that looks just, like crap. And I'm thinking, yeah, I know it's scary when Jimmie starts thinking, but I'm thinking we can probably just grab these vertices and probably, just kind of move them in position like this. And let's see what that gives us. It's not too bad. Probably need to grab this face and just kind of like pull this out just a little bit, something kind of like that. So anyways, yeah, that's basically all there is to that. I'm going to save the scene. And then for the lens cover, this is flat, but this one extrudes in. So we actually have 2 ways we can do this. If you notice, I have this right here. So what we can do is we can actually extrude these edges. Something kind of like that. I know it looks like crap right now. Just give me a second. So we have this beautiful shape. What is this monstrosity? I have no idea. But we can do something kind of similar to that. An easier way of doing this would be to simply select right here and just extrude this over. Yeah, you can tell I'm getting real in depth with this. Yeah. So let's see. Probably something kind of like this. Kind of like that. And then we'll just click on this face, and we're actually going to separate this face off of this object. And then what we can do is zoom in where we can't see anything. Let's see. We're just going to create a line right there. And we're just going to pull this out just a little bit, something kind of like that. So that's how you can create a simple side marker shape, just like that. Not exact science. So now we have this whole shape, this whole monstrosity. It's definitely protruding out way too far. Even if we try to smooth it out, it's still, it just ain't right. Oops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab vertex. I'm actually going to want to make sure I have one selected. There we go. And so what I want to do is I want to go into the front view right here, and I just want to select half of it. So with this half selected, I'm going to now pull this in. There we go. And so all I'm going to do is just pull this in, something kind of like that. And then the next thing I want to do is go into my front view. Now this is going to be the hard one to do, because if you just start grabbing random points, it's going to look funky. And I do mean funky. So I'm going to move that right about there. Now right here you have an option. You actually have a series of options. You can work with this shape right here. And we'll move this little side marker lens in place here in just a second. Or we can follow the edge of this. If we follow the edge of this, the easiest way to do it is without manipulating the headlight. Select these. I'm actually going to zoom in. I'm going to deselect the headlight in here. I'm going to deselect that part too. I'm just going to pull these in. Something kind of like that. So now we have this nice smooth shape like this. And you can probably pull this in just a little bit more. and then you can take the headlight shape and pull that back in even more as well. I'm going to object mode. I'm actually going to hide this object for the time being. So this way I can work more on this piece. I'm going to go into face. I'm actually going to move these faces in a little bit more. There we go. So those are hidden. And then the next thing we need to do, because if we press 3, you're going to run into this problem. So is what we need to do now is we need to go ahead and select the whole headlight shape. Let's see if there's an easy way of doing this. Don't know if there is. Oops. So I'm actually just going to go into this view. Yay. And we're just going to select these edges right here. So by selecting these edges, we can go into the front view. And I'm going to hold down Control. Yep, I deselected too many of them. Things happen. Things do happen. So I'm just going to go in here. I'm just going to start deselecting all these extra edges. Let's see, make sure I don't have any edges down there selected. No edges up here selected. See, I got these selected. I don't want those. I don't want those selected. And so the whole purpose of this, the whole purpose of this is that, I see you. Okay, there we go. The whole purpose of this is this way. With these edges selected, now I can just pull the headlight back. And that's really the only reason for this. Go ahead. I'm going to do the same thing right here. I need to make sure. I should have selected these two. I didn't. My bad. So we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to Control Select off of these. And this way, when we move this one back, it should move everything back as one. There can be only one. Okay. Let me see. Maya problems. Okay. So I don't want this one selected. I don't want that one selected. There we go. So now, in theory, if I pull this back, yeah, there we go. I can actually pull this back far enough. But we still have an edge down here selected. I don't know where it's at. It's somewhere in here. I just don't know where. Oh, that's fine. So what happens if I pull that back? I'm just going to pull all this forward. Yeah, so we actually still have another edge down here selected. And that's why we're getting this weird issue. Let's see, we have those selected. So I'm actually going to want to deselect these as well. Try pulling this forward. There we go. Now we're getting a nice uniform pull. We're just going to move it back there like that. So let's go ahead and click on this. We're going to take these faces like so. We're just going to pull these back. Hey, wait, we don't want to pull those back. That looks like crap. Just going to pull these back. Something kind of like that, you know, just kind of get them out of the way. Then we'll go in here to edge. I'm going to pull these in like so. There we go. And I know that we weren't manipulating that side, but to do the same thing, we're just going to take this fender, we'll delete that half, and we'll mirror it back over. Easy. Okay, so once we have done that, let's go ahead and see what it looks like smooth. Doesn't look too terribly bad. I'm actually going to select all the way around here. I'm going to go into my scale tool. I'm just going to scale this in just a little bit. So this way we have a slightly softer shape. Ah, we got more crap. I like crap. The only problem is if we move this, I think it's going to actually move that whole section. Yeah, it's going to move that whole section. So I'm just going to leave that alone. Okay, so now that we have done that, which you probably won't be seeing that anyway, so I think it'll be alright. We can always manipulate that a little bit more later on. No biggie. Let's go and see what this looks like smooth. Yeah, we're going to have to manipulate that. So we'll start manipulating that in the next video, and we'll work more with this little piece right here. Okay, let's go and just put that in real quick. Let's see what it looks like. I'm actually going to select all three of these edges, because for the most part, deselect that object. For the most part, whenever we made this, we didn't really do a whole lot of transformations on it. When I say transformation, I mean we didn't really do a whole lot of scaling or anything like that. So it should be fairly easy to manipulate into place. Shouldn't have too much of a problem, actually. And right here, we need to select this edge. Actually, let's just select these vertices. It's going to come out like that. Okay. Oops, wrong one. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now we have that, and you know that is definitely looking a lot better. Move that out. I moved that out way too far. There we go. And I'm going to take this edge right here. I'm actually going to pull this edge out so it's a little bit more even. And I'll take this vertex down here, and we will pull that one out. Okay, there we go. Probably need to go ahead and work a little bit more on these. So we're just going to take these and we're just going to pull them out like so. Easy. And let's see what it looks like smooth. And there we go. You know, this front image is just a monstrosity, so I'm going to turn it off for now. And I'm not too worried about this part down here because, like I said, it's going to be covered by the bumper anyways. So you can always manipulate that a little bit more if you want. Completely up to you. I'm just really worried about the side marker and the headlamp. And, yeah, so in the next video, we'll work more on this fender right here. For the time being, whoa, too much. For the time being, I'm going to take my face tool. I'm just going to select this entire half right here. I'm just going to press delete. So this way we have just this half. And then in the next video, in the next video, we're going to work more on this and fixing all this extra miscellaneous crap right here that just a complete monstrosity. And I'll see you there.